Welcome to another enlightening podcast from Be Awake, Aware, Alive.com, where we question everything. What are the Nazca Lines? Who made them and why? By the Be Awake, Aware, Alive.com team. If you ever find yourself trekking across the parched plains of southern Peru, you might wonder what all the fuss is about. From ground level, the terrain looks like countless other dry, dusty expanses with brown gravel, scattered rocks, and little else. But the moment you ascend into the air, the desert reveals its secret, an immense gallery of ancient art, carved directly into the Earth's crust. Gigantic zigzags, razor-straight tracks that vanish over the horizon, and colossal portraits of creatures both familiar and fantastical stretch out below. This is the world-famous spectacle of the Nazca geoglyphs. Decoding the desert drawings. The Nazca Lines represent one of antiquity's most puzzling artistic achievements. They occupy a vast swath of Peru's southern coastal desert, roughly 400 kilometers from Lima, nestled between the Ingenio and Nazca River valleys. In 1994, UNESCO recognized their global significance, hailing them as an unparalleled collection of Earth-sketched imagery. The scale is staggering. Across an area that some estimates put at over 1,000 square kilometers, you will find more than 800 unbroken straight pathways, around 300 angular shapes and trapezoids, and upwards of 70 figurative carvings depicting living things. Some of those straight tracks run for an incredible 40 kilometers without wavering. Among the animal motifs, the most celebrated include a spiraled-tailed monkey, a 130-meter-wide condor, a detailed spider, a hummingbird, a lizard, an orca, and even a strange humanoid figure on a hillside, often dubbed the astronaut by pop culture enthusiasts, though scholars roll their eyes at the extraterrestrial implications. The hands behind the art. Contrary to popular belief, these earthworks may not be the brainchild of a single civilization. Archaeological evidence points to a multi-generational project spanning several distinct cultural groups. The lion's share of the figures is attributed to the Nazca society, which thrived in the region from about 200 BCE to 600 CE. However, researchers now recognize that the Paracas people, who preceded the Nazca, flourishing from around 900 BCE to 400 CE, got the ball rolling. The Paracas-era designs tend to lean towards anthropomorphic themes, whereas the Nazca-era repertoire expanded dramatically to include the famous bestiary of birds, mammals, and reptiles. And the roster of creators keeps growing. In late 2025, a research team from Japan's Yamagata University made headlines by revealing 248 previously unidentified figures. Using a combination of high-resolution aerial surveys and cutting-edge AI pattern recognition, they pushed the total known geoglyph count to 893, proving that these ancient artists were far more prolific than we ever imagined. The craftsmanship. Simple yet brilliant. For such an enormous undertaking, the actual technique was surprisingly straightforward. The desert floor is coated with a dark crust of pebbles, rich in iron and manganese oxides. The designers simply peeled away this top layer, scraping down about 10 to 30 centimeters to expose a pale, chalky underlayer of gypsum-rich soil and limestone. The resulting furrows are shallow, rarely deeper than a child's hand, and range in width from a few dozen centimeters to nearly 2 meters. Their incredible preservation is owed almost entirely to the local climate. The Nazca Desert experiences fewer than 25 millimeters of rainfall annually, and the region's calm winds minimize erosion. To test the plausibility of their creation, modern experimenters successfully recreated a replica of the condor figure using only wooden stakes, rope, and a rough draft, demonstrating that advanced technology was not required, just patience, coordination, and a solid grasp of geometry. Unraveling the why. This is where the narrative gets truly fascinating and contentious. After decades of investigation, archaeologists remain divided on the ultimate purpose of these colossal sketches. Let's explore the leading hypotheses. The celestial compass idea. Early pioneers like Paul Kosak and his successor, Maria Reich, championed the notion that the Nazca Lines functioned as an enormous astronomical observatory. Reich, who devoted her life to the site, argued that the alignments corresponded to solstices, equinoxes, and major star groups. However, this hypothesis took a significant blow in 1967 when astronomer Gerald Hawkins ran the data through a computer and found no statistically significant correlation with celestial bodies. Today, few specialists subscribe to this view. Rainmaking and agricultural rights. The current front-runner among academics connects the geoglyphs to water worship and fertility rituals. Given that the Nazca inhabited one of the driest environments on Earth, securing water for crops was an existential concern. Many of the etched animals, such as marine birds, monkeys from the humid Amazon, and killer whales, carry strong symbolic ties to water, rainfall, and the ocean. Scholars like Anthony Avini propose that the lines served as a stage for ceremonies aimed at coaxing deities into releasing life-giving precipitation. Processional pilgrimage paths. Another widely respected theory suggests the straight lines and geometric spaces were designed to be traversed on foot as part of religious pilgrimages. The fact that these tracks rarely intersect and often terminate at small mounds or stone altars lends weight to this interpretation. It implies that walking the paths was an act of devotion in itself, a physical prayer etched into the landscape. Subterranean water markers. A more niche proposal posits that the geoglyphs acted as maps pointing toward underground aquifers or irrigation channels. While evocative, this theory lacks concrete supporting evidence and fails to account for the elaborate figurative drawings that wouldn't be necessary for simple navigation. The extraterrestrial option. Then there's the option of ancient aliens. The thinking is that these designs were landing strips or signals for visiting spacecraft. Certainly, the size of the Nazca Lines do lend themselves to the fact that these were plotted and viewed from above, with it being very difficult to create them well from ground level, with little or no perspective. To our knowledge, indigenous tribes didn't have the means to fly. A living puzzle. The truth is, the Nazca Lines may never yield a single, tidy explanation. Their usage likely evolved over the centuries. What began as sacred walking routes for the Paracas might have been repurposed as plea offerings for rain by the Nazca. Maria Reich famously described the site as the world's largest astronomy textbook, but perhaps it is better understood as a massive, open-air cathedral, a place where ancient peoples expressed their deepest hopes, fears, and reverence for the natural world. And with each new discovery, thanks to modern tools like drone imaging and artificial intelligence, we are reminded that this ancient enigma still has plenty of secrets left to tell. The desert is keeping its audience guessing, one newly uncovered geoglyph at a time. Don't forget to sign up to our mailing list, follow our social channels, and open your mind with more blogs and life-changing books at beawakeawarealive.com. Thanks for listening to another enlightening podcast from beawakeawarealive.com, where we question everything.